I wanted to give you a chance to now appreciate a group of people who started and carried you and supported you and whipped you, I hope, sometimes in this journey. And these are advisory council members. You know, maybe you can have a chance now to appreciate them, because I think they may not have detected those signals way out in California that you hoped that you were appreciating them. So I'll leave it up to you now to call them up by name. We've got a few very well wrapped gifts over there that you can see. I shall hand them, and then you can perhaps say a word or two and, you know, appreciate them on our behalf.
Wow, okay.
So, Risha.
Oh, so those newspaper-clad exercise books are...
This is how you studied, this is how I studied, you know, we took great pride in, you know, yes.
Look, I think me personally, and now Aidan, and I think all of Twaweza is we are the luckiest people in the world to have had the kind of advisory board that we've had. This is a thankless task in some senses. Nobody's paid for anything. You come, at least previously you had to deal with materials getting to you at the last minute, not being organized, you know, just to test your character. And you know, now it's getting easier, and so the value you obtain, you know, the years you lose in purgatory are less now as a result of getting the documents ready. But I think you did some incredible work, and I think this is an advisory group that has provided a deep level of intellectual support. I think embodies, even though they would probably not use that word, embodies this notion of love, caring enough to take time to put their mind to it, put their heart to it. They have, each one in their own way has been there to respond to the tough times, the good times, to ask hard questions, but to do them in a way that showed there was no question about the loyalty to the organization and to the organization's people, which allowed us to open up and change. You know, we have changed our mind in many ways, and I think we have done so both because of the toughness and the sharpness of the advisory board, as well as their caring enough to put for this. So I think we are really lucky to have had this board, and as we move on, I think their legacy of engagement will be here with us for the rest of our lives. And I think, now this might sound a bit hubris, but I wonder whether advisory board members and others who are not formal members like Kate, whether they appreciate how big an impact they've had at Twaweza and built our confidence and helped us guide our way, but also how much impact they've had in the world. I was just at a meeting with Kevin as well of the Transparency and Accountability Initiative, and I was talking on the margins of that, and there are lots of things there at the global level that in small ways have had influence from Twaweza, and I think a lot of that you can, if you are to trace that, forensically trace that, you would see that the advisory board, in addition to the staff, had a key place. So we're incredibly lucky, and thank you so much, and I think that will go on.
So I am going to you stand or sit there, and maybe I shall call them. Now this is a test of my ability to recall names. The advisory board members, and they can come up. So let's start with Valerie in the front row here, and Sipho, get ready.
Woo!
So
congratulations. I have no idea what I'm handing to you, but I'm sure it is something beautiful.
It was a learning experience. So thank you.
Thank you
thank
very
you
much.
so much, Valerie.
Valerie, so we have to...
Yes.
I mean, Valerie keeps reminding us that the world is changing, that the world is networked, and that the way you make things happen is sometimes in disruptive ways and in creative ways. And I think we get it and then we forget. And Valerie keeps reminding us. So we will have to figure out a way of Valerie's ghost to keep haunting us as we keep So thank you very
much, Valerie. Thank you. Dr. Sipho Moyo, please.
So you know that Sipho Moyo is not a Swahili name, but she's a Swahili sister, and she's one of those Tanzanians who, you know, in one of these refugee crises got lost and went south and went around the world. but keeps coming back. You know, the truth is Dar es Salaam is where her heart is, even though she kind of moves around everywhere. Sipho is an inspiration in the work she does. I first met Sipho when she was the head of ADB, the Africa Development Bank in Tanzania. You have to let me speak a bit. I've had wine, so I can speak a bit bluntly. Here's an African woman, who is the head of the entire donor community and the head of the general budget support. And lots of white male ambassador types and so on who kind of, and the way she put them into line, the way she kind of made sure that they were behind the policies that mattered was just a joy to watch. And since then, just the work she's been doing with One, and if we are talking about a combination of solid evidence and rigor with passionate advocacy, that is Sipho. So.
Let me call John Malemukasa, please.
Ooh. So, do you know where John and I first met? Was again in the beautiful city of Dar es Salaam. Or was it Mwanza? Maybe it might have even been Mwanza. It was Mwanza and Kuleana. But John was running AMREF in the heydays of AMREF, in the days when people were even afraid to mention the word AIDS. He would like whisper AIDS. And here was a man who was fighting the stigma, working openly, very concretely to get things done through this. AMREF, another somewhat staid organization started by, you know, starch collar types, but he turned it around and did some really incredible work. And with John, what always amazed me was the humanity with which he worked. We were making tough decisions, but the humanity always came through in terms of why we were doing this and motivating me in terms of doing this. I was a young kid who had just come from school. I was writing a book called Life First, a practical guide of people living with HIV/AIDS, and I don't even remember whether, I don't know whether he even remembers, but he gave me the honor of giving me a small office in AMREF to work on writing this book. And for a kid who had just come from college, it meant a lot. So an amazing humanitarian.
Thank you. And we have, I hope she's here, but she may be so tired. Smita Singh, is she here? I think she went for a nap. She's really been jet lagged. She flew 20 hours plus a layover in Amsterdam to be here for our meeting, and she really lasted. But you know, give us you know, a picture of Smita and her contribution to Twaweza, and then we'll take her the map, make sure she gets it.
Well, before Twaweza, Smita runs the United States. You should know that. I think you know, Kevin and Dana, who used to work for her, I think can attest to that. She's one, you know, Joseph Nye and the idea of soft power, you know, she's epitomizes that. She has, you know, her latest, she went from saying I'm a mother, housewife, so now her latest title is retired. But I don't know of anybody who has more influence behind the scenes in terms of the world of ideas. I think the field of transparency and accountability would not have been what it is, for better or for worse, without Smita. I think the whole learning ethos here and in many other organizations that you know I care about so much would not have been there without Smita supporting it and giving it license and getting foundations like the Hewlett Foundation and getting people like Kevin and Dana and others to embody that. The whole OGP. Yeah. I mean, I got involved with OGP because Smita connected me with a guy called Jeremy Weinstein who was working in the White House. So I had no idea who he was. He didn't know who I was. And so I think if there was some magic tool to be able to map who made what happen in that spider web, you know, the queen spider would be Smita. So I think that's what she is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, wonderful. Thank you. HIVOS incubated both Twaweza and another organization that I'm privileged to be associated with, TMF. And we've got Edwin here from HIVOS. I think HIVOS deserves appreciation for taking the risks that they've always taken with organizations, I think, such as ours and others around the world. So, Edwin, please come up and accept our appreciation for the great work that HIVOS has been doing.
Except for Ben.
For Ben, yes.
Because I only joined 1.5 years ago.
But Aidan has no problem taking credit for
no,
things.
I know.
So
I really don't.
but just think of the chutzpah here. You know, so I finish Hakielimu, and I wanted a break from Hakielimu, and I wanted time to kind of think and reflect and walk around, but not have to actually have a proper job and show up at work. But I had just put my kids to a private school, which was expensive. So I needed, a proper salary. And I wanted.
Don't say that on camera.
Yeah.
For my minister, he's coming on budget.
and I wanted to do all this exploration. So I went to. So it wasn't Edwin. It was his predecessor. So I went to The Hague and I said, "Look, guys, I want to take a year to explore, get ideas, talk to people, listen to people, just and I don't know, at the end of the year I will have some ideas, but I don't know what will happen. But I would like you to pay me more than I've ever been paid before, like a proper salary." And they said yes. So yeah, that part you may want to edit that for the Dutch Foreign Ministry. But look, it is that kind of bet. No, in all seriousness, I think you should probably put that with your application to the Dutch. It's that kind of bet you took. Hivos has many weaknesses. Some of the things we were hoping to get out of Hivos when we did this deal, we didn't get. But Hivos has a knack for being able to see ahead, to be able to identify people and organizations and take bets on them. Pratham, which got Astra, which led to Wezo, one of the first bets on Pratham was taken by Hivos. Many people don't know that. Lots of big storied people now, if you look at the history, all started. Even the Barefoot College, which led to MKSS and the Right to Information movement in India. The first support to Barefoot Village in the Barefoot, the college in the early days was also Hivos in Jan de Witte when he was there. So I think this is an amazing story of an organization in the Netherlands and this deep belief in this humanistic thing. I don't quite know what it means, but it's basically a belief that human beings and their human values is what makes the world tick. And that's what we need to invest in. And this deep notion of human trust and dignity, I think, is what Hivos has made. And they have an incredible story. So thank you for Twaweza and all of that.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rakesh. And I'd like to ask Deepak to come up, actually, for this one, because, as we're thanking the advisory group, I'd like to welcome one of a few new board members who are going to join us, who have decided also to take a bet on this organization called Twaweza. And I think jointly as members of Twaweza, not just board members, but members, founding members, I'd like you to welcome, please, Leonard Mususa here. Leonard, very soft-spoken and quiet, but of a formidable intellect. He has led PricewaterhouseCoopers in Tanzania for a long time, and he's one of the people who all of the accountants in this country probably have got some Leonardism in them, because he has headed the NBAA board, I think. So in terms of his contribution to transparency, at least in the corporate world and in the public sector world, I think Leonard has made a huge contribution. So when we approached him and said, would you consider coming to look at Twaweza and work with us and help us in the financial thing, but also in the wisdom that you've gained in advising governments and private sector and civil society organizations, he said yes rather faster than I had hoped for and anticipated. So for being so brave, and the first sort of thing you see is people making fun by puppets of our president. I saw him enjoying it tremendously. Welcome to the board, and with you will be joining, some other ones will be joining, Robert Kabushenga from the CEO Vision Group in Uganda, plus Ruth Kagia. We are going to get her on board as well in Nairobi. Barbara Hogan from South Africa, former minister. I don't know whether Sipo you've heard of her. And Rakesh called her his favorite kind of terrorist. during the anti-apartheid struggle. Owen Bada, another real deep thinker with the Center for Global Development. So you're representing all of these people, and we'd like to ask maybe Deepak to welcome you with the way we see the world. Welcome, Leonard. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. So I think that's everybody. I hope I haven't missed anybody out. Have I? Oh, this Kate.
He's kind of one of those persona non gratas who does a lot of influence around the world.
Can I say one word about this man?
Yes, you can. Speak next. Let's do Kate. Kate. Kate's all about transparency and accountability, and she was already giving me some great tutorials in today's meetings about about our strategy and how to make it human-centered. Bringing down all of those great big words into something that is simple and understandable, and if-then statements. So, Rakesh.
Oh, I could say so much. With Kate, you have to start in Shinyanga. At least that's how I start with Kate. Yeah.
Okay.
She started, a place like Shinyanga, and she started causing trouble. The most sleepy place you could imagine, and so she did some work there. If you look at the work of education and Oxfam, and you'll see things around it. If you have heard of the biggest coalition that this country has, NGO coalition this country has ever had, which is called TENMET, Tanzania Education Network, that was started by Kate Dyer. It was Kate's work. And so many other things. And Kate somehow is one of those people who, me, I get excited with fads and ideas and so on. But Kate is solid, So if you ever want to have your anchor in life and rigor and clarity of purpose and knowing not only ideas but knowing how to go about it with certain clarity, you go to Kate. So I suggest you really do that. So
yes, thank you. So, Kate, this is...
Thank you. That's so sweet.
You'll be around, so at least a phone call away. Thank you. So, Deepak.
Thank you. Is this mic alive? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I've known this guy for more than 40 years. Now, that might surprise some of you, considering how young both of us look. I used to sit next to him at primary school. We used to be in the same class, and we used to sit near to each other. And so I don't want to take too much space, but I want to tell you one thing, is that since those days, it was always clear to me as his friend that this man was amazing. And from the time that I got to know him to now, our friendship has grown in many ways, and he's inspired me in so many ways, including the work I've ended up doing. But the one thing that I want to tell you about him is that when we were kids, all around him, he had spontaneous nickname for him. And that nickname was, at that point, so you have to understand the context, what that thing meant for us at that point.
This is really silly.
If you can think of one thing that is the most wonderful thing, most outstanding thing, the most glimmering thing, the most high quality thing that you can imagine in the world, that was this makers of this watch called Rado. Now you may think of it whatever you think.
Leonard is the only one who will appreciate that.
Yeah. So in those days of Tanzania, Rado was the highest quality thing that you could ever get. And that was the nickname that spontaneously emerged for this guy.
Oh.
And I've known him for 40 years, and I think it's a well-deserved name. That's all I want.
Thank you. So thank you so much, Deepak. Rakesh, thank you for being such a good sport. You are surviving on 2 hours of sleep, so I think we should let you take a rest. And thank all of you for participating and for welcoming Leonard and others. We hope you've enjoyed your evening. I think there's still some more drinks at the back there. There's some more food for those of you who are hungry and have to go home and cook. Don't.